Chris Boss. Good to meet you, Chris. Brady.
Well, this does look like we've got a back row Baptist thing going on here because we've got a whole empty table up front. So if you migrated to the back so you can escape early, I'll talk from the back, and that way we won't let you out the door. Very happy to have you here. Welcome to the final TW3 for 2019. Can you believe it's November? And it's not just November, it's the last week of November. This is the first time I've ever seen Black Friday happening every day of the month in November. It's wrong. As far as I'm concerned, it's wrong. Welcome to TW3. I want to thank you for coming. We're finishing up the series on flies in the ointment. And if you haven't been with us over the past 4 months, that's really, the first time we said, I think it was Kathy Potter said, flies in the ointment, yuck. And it's from a scripture in Ecclesiastes where it says, just like seeing flies in the ointment of a pharmacist, so it is to find a man who is known for wisdom and honor and being foolish. And so what we're talking about in the workplace is foolish things that sometimes we do, which really can mess up our testimony, and it changes the legacy we leave. So I want to refer you to, right now you got forks and knives in your hand, but as we get going, you've got a note sheet there on your table, and feel free to use these. It's a place where you can take some notes, take them home with you. We're happy to have you here. Big smile. Okay. I want to tell you that today the topic about success is something I can teach from the heart, because along the way, people have offered success to me, and often they did it as an enticement to get me to do something either with them or for them, or in some cases, kind of like what you see here, Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, instead of them trying to get stuff done. And the idea was, they'd say to me, Dalton, don't you want to be successful? Then you have got to do this. Now, I'll put it in perspective for you. I was a 36-year-old husband, father of 3, married for 16 years, living in the jungle of Colombia when we came back to the United States to re-enter the marketplace. And what I can tell you is that everyone was overwhelmingly encouraging, and they all seemed to want me to be successful, but I realized I was way behind the curve. If I'm going to be successful, there's no catching up with guys who are already 15, 16 years into their careers. And everyone agreed I had to work hard, but they all had different ideas what it was that I should do in order to achieve success. So today, 33 years later, I'm speaking to you from personal experience about things that I've learned since then, and these are things that I have found that are important to have as a goal and a focus. I've begun to see things that really count more clearly, and that inspires me to get after them. So, what is important? Is it success? And why success anyway? Which leads me to our first and only 90-second table talk today, and that is, we want you to talk about at your tables in your group, how do you define success? What does success mean to you? And at these 90-second tabletop topics, what we do is we just have you at your table converse about what are the things that have meaning in this particular time. It's what does success mean to you? So we'll give you 90 seconds. Get ready, go.
Ladies first.
All the time, that's what they always say.
I think it's how we help to improve the quality of life and business for others.
That changes. Of course.
I'm just going to say yes because that's what.
She said. What she said.
Who can I help? How many can I help? How can I help? Will people treat their room more vital? It really has changed. Right. Like just maybe if you were to ask them, say, why do you go for more? Those answers. I think that's one of the things is celebrating that they really never really change on their really not great success. It really does. But then that's
Okay, 90 seconds are up. Let's do this. Let's debrief a little bit. I heard some good conversation. And so what are some things you've noted about success? What have you found?
That's a good statement. Go ahead. You said it.
You said it.
It's happiness.
Okay.
Success is happiness. Like you wake up every day and you go to your job and you enjoy it. Whether you're making this much money or this much money, but you're walking away every day happy and fulfilled and can balance your family life. That's successful.
Okay, Samantha says success is happiness. If you can get up in the morning, go to work, and be fulfilled in what you're doing, balance your family and work life, that's success. Other answers, what did you find? This is when you get to talk. What meetings do you get to go to where you are supposed to be talking out in front of the group?
Comment was made at our table. It can change depending on where you are in life.
Okay. So it changes based on where you are in your life growth.
And for us, my wife and I, success looks like our children being Christ followers.
Okay.
We're working through that, towards that.
Okay, so Eric's case, he says for him and his wife, it's their kids being Christ followers and working through all that process. I see some heads nodding back there. Rusty?
Our conversation was a little more business-like, that if you are a supervisor and you can transfer your information to your subordinates and they can do your job, then you were successful in training them.
Okay, as a business person, if you are able to transmit who you are, the things you do to people who are following you, you're leading them, and they can do it in your absence, then you've successfully passed along that work. What else?
The second part was leaving a situation or a conversation better than you found it.
Leaving a situation or conversation better than you found it. Cool. Any other comments?
I think we may have oversimplified it.
Okay.
Kind of as a group, we're talking about happiness and joy.
Okay.
Aspect of what we're doing, to where we have freedom and ability to leave a legacy because we are living in what God's called us to.
Okay, Nathan says happiness, joy, freedom we have that to leave a legacy because we're where doing what God has called us to. Keep going.
Well, and I think that it's kind of continue to carry there. Javier was stating it's about how it's not necessarily a rival point, it's enjoying it, growing along.
Okay, and Javier mentions that it's not a destination or a arrival point, but there's a pathway that you're on that continually is kind of changing. If you look in the dictionary, the word success has a few very clear definitions, and I forgot to turn this page, so we'll have to give it a second. All right, thanks for sharing. Dictionary says this: success is the fact of getting or achieving wealth, respect, or fame. Oxford Dictionary says it's the accomplishment of an aim or purpose or the attainment of fame, wealth, or social status. That's the first blanks that you see at the top of your page. It's the achievement of fame, wealth, or social status. Now, I didn't hear anybody mention social status. Are any of you Facebook personalities where you've got a following? You make money off of Facebook selling your headshots, right? Whatever. Okay, a lot of people have found social status to be something which gives them not just 15 seconds of fame, but it's given them fame that's worldwide. And there are people with followings of millions of people that 5 years ago would not have had any following at all. When you succeed, by definition, you achieve the desired aim or result. So whatever it was you were going after, you got it. Now, if you thought about this word at all, I think you'll agree that over the years, the definition has changed. Not only has it changed as we are changing as we grow older, but also the definition has changed. And our dictionary makes it sound pretty simple. Achieve your goals, become famous, wealthy, sought after, that's success. But today we have 5 generations working side by side in the marketplace. Are you aware of that? You've heard of this, right? And each generation, you may have found, each generation defines success differently from the other. And there on your sheets, we've actually put a little table out there that shows you the characteristics and the age groups that are different one from the other, and the things that they are seeking, which they define as success, and also their attitudes toward their career. And if you'll notice, it's changing. So maturists, those are the folks that were born before 45, they were all about success was home ownership. And then the boomers, are there any boomers in here? I be one. If you're a boomer, that's a person born between 45 and 60. Job security was a tone for success for us. Then came our kids, the Gen X kids, who it's work-life balance. I heard that mentioned just a moments ago. Those who follow them are the Gen Y or millennials born between 81 and 95. For them, it's not a house, it's not a car, it's freedom and flexibility. And for the Gen Z, and those are the ones who are college students right now, like our granddaughter, who's living with us going to tech, she's 19, and she wants security and stability. But that doesn't necessarily mean a job, it just means security and stability. And the attitudes towards career has also changed. For our elders, my brother, for instance, who's still alive, jobs were lifetime employment. It was not uncommon to be lifetime employed by the same company. Then my group, it's an organizational kind of a thing where careers were defined by employers. Employer looked at you, you'd be great at this. They gave you an assignment, put you to work at it, and then that became your job. Some guy was stamping bumpers out in a car manufacturing plant for 35 years and graduated. I'm getting finger pointing from the back row, and that's my wife.
That'd be the way.
That would be my wife. Thank you. Gen X, early portfolio careers, loyal to the profession, not necessarily an employer. The Gen Y, digital entrepreneurs, these are people who work, they'll say about their company, I'm working with this company, not I work for this company. Notice the difference between the two. And then Gen Z, they're career multitaskers. They're going to be side hustle people forever. They will have a main job, but they're going to be doing a side hustle of some sort that they'll be handling, carrying forward. Not just driving for Uber. So how has it changed? Seems that the greatest amount of life experience, those with more life experience looked at tangible things to put as the marker for success. And those that are entering into the marketplace more recently are looking for intangibles, things like freedom and flexibility, security and stability. People's attitudes toward their career has changed also. Have you noticed the idea of lifetime employment is just not in the marketplace anymore? Do you know anybody who says, I want to take this job and be here forever? Have you ever heard of Gen Y say to you, oh yeah, I want to stay with your company forever? That's what they'll say to you during an interview, or if you say that you get to skateboard between offices. But when the moment comes that somebody says to them, here's a better offer, guess what? They're moving on because they're growing with opportunity. So success is different from one to the next. Based on these findings, when we're trying to measure success, you can see how different it would be for each individual as well as their respective generation. But when we make success our goal, the success, no matter the cost, our goal, that's an attitude that says it's okay to sabotage other people's work or to have no concern over the loss of relationships and the boot prints we leave on the faces of those that we're climbing over as we climb the ladder of organizational height. That cavalier attitude is the one that's the fly in the ointment. So the question comes, what are you willing to pay in order to achieve success? Your success. If you recognize it as a moving target, it's kind of a portrayal of a bundle of different words. Take a look at this word collage. So these are things that are associated with success in our world. Scorekeeping, earning, busy, hectic. I know where I'm going. A friend of mine said to me, Dalton, it's really all about adding another zero to the left of the decimal point. Being productive, conquer, and this is a believer. Know what's important. It's a little lonely. It's not only lonely at the top, it can be very lonely along the way to the top. And the word driven is also very much a part of people who are successful. So can you see how a person could attain fame, they could be wealthy, they could have social status, these are the characteristics of the definition of success, and at the same time have serious health issues, face a divorce and alienation from family and friends, and be in money worries. How many successful people find fulfillment in the success? Let me say that again. How many successful people find their fulfillment in the success? It's very fleeting.
The ones that don't have all those other problems.
It's the ones who don't have all those problems we listed. Okay? If we measure success by the amount of money and things we have, we're never going to find satisfaction. Because I have a friend who's a financial planner who told us years ago, he said, I have clients working 2 jobs, they live paycheck to paycheck, and they're worried that they're never going to get out of debt and become financially free. And he said, and I have other clients that are well into 6 figures. They make well into 6 figures. Both are employed, both are professionals, and they are worried about never getting out of debt and concerned that they may outlive their savings at the end of their lives. So it doesn't matter that you are at the poverty level or that you are wealthy by the standards of the world. People can have similar situation where they're concerned about what it is. Here's a quote for you. Bo Bennett. Success is not in what you have, it's who you are. So I asked myself, okay, what's the Bible say about this? And I found that there were several references about success in the Bible. And I had to go to newer translation. Okay, so I gotta confess, I was raised on King James. Anybody in here memorize verses in King James? You'll confess that? King James, okay. That's a long time ago, isn't it? So going to newer translation, the word success is very commonly used, and I found 2 particular scriptures that were interesting to me. One was written by Samuel the prophet, referring to King David, and the other was written by David about his own situation. If you'll remember, David was a young shepherd boy. So he started life working for his dad as a shepherd boy, and through a series of amazing life events, he became Israel's king. And that doesn't just happen without a major investment of effort and time combined with the obvious blessing of God on his life. And David was a successful shepherd, as well as successful warrior, as well as successful as a king. Samuel says this about him in 1 Samuel 18:14. David was successful in all his ways, and the Lord was with him. But David's own writings in the Psalms, we see later on, he has a slightly different side to success when he finds himself in trouble, and he chooses to not only rely on his own experience and kingly wisdom, but he cries out to God. And here's what he says: please, Lord, please save us. Please, Lord, please give us success. And this cry is sort of hinted at by a quote by Booker T. Washington that really struck me. Read what he says. I have learned success is to be measured not so much by the position that one has reached in life as by the obstacles which he has had to overcome while trying to succeed. So it isn't so much getting there, it's the journey that you take en route to there. So how do people in other countries define success? Vicki and I have several friends on Facebook that are from around the world, so we thought, it'd be kind of interesting to do a Facebook survey. So I asked two simple questions. I said, tell me, how do people in your country define success, and then how do you define success? Now I have a disclaimer, all the folks I polled are acquaintances that were made while working or ministering together. And sometimes we were teaching in their country or working on ministry-related projects here in the States, and none of my atheist friends chimed in on this poll, okay? So can I just put that out there first, so that you don't go, oh, this is skewed. This is not a Gallup poll. It has nothing to do with an election. So the first thing I noticed was that when we begin to get answers, they came from different parts of the world. So I'm going to give them to you one by one. Here's Melvi, and we had several. I'll just give you just a handful of. Melvi from Guatemala. She said a successful person in my country is usually described by the house where he lives, the clothes that they wear, the latest model car, a full wallet, and bank accounts. But to me, success is integral. First of all, most important is my relationship with God, and then my spouse and my family, and my personal development, being generous, and then impacting the next generation. The blessing of Jehovah is what enriches and does not add sadness to it. So she quotes a scripture at the end. A friend of ours down in Mexico, Socorro, we've known her, we actually lived in the jungle together down in South America. She said, in my country, success means finish a university degree and strive to attain a doctorate. Start your own company, and of course, make money, and that was in all caps. And she said, since education and money bring power. But for me, success means have peace and contentment every day, no matter my situation, knowing that it's the way to run with patience the race and reach the goal of the supreme call of God in Christ Jesus. We get to go to Cambodia a lot, and this young lady, Pisay, was my translator in a meeting last time we were there in May. And she said, in my country, my culture defines success by the amount of money a person makes. It does not matter what job or the business that person is doing. So you can be a thief, you can be a philanthropist. It's just that you make money. It doesn't matter how you get it. But to me, success is defined by the contentment in my heart from serving the Lord. And then Red Krong, who's a young pastor in Phnom Penh, he said, my people define success by money, fame, recognition, and achievements. But for me, it's live life in the purpose of God and leave a legacy for generations after us. Now, a couple of North Americans chimed in. This is Rebecca. She lives in Canada. And she was a little humorous. She said this, since I live in Canada, people immediately ask about igloos. So I guess we judge success by getting thick enough ice to build a good winter home and enough moose meat to feed our teams of sled dogs. She said, I think we all choose various forms of success. And then she said something I thought was